So, how do you spot bad web design clients?
Let's find out.
Hello, I'm your host Casino from Casino.com. I'm the Digital Alchemist, and welcome to the Digital Alchemist podcast. So, today we'll take a look at how to spot bad web design clients. In other words, we'll take a look at bad clients' red flags. So, we'll start with words that should raise concern, then we'll move on to their behavior. Then we'll talk about their relationship to money, and finally, I'll give you some tips for your own sanity. Now, before we get started, one word though. This is not about bashing clients and saying that all clients are bad. This is completely false. I mean, most of my clients, I love them. And think about it. If you're a web designer, web developer, or any creative web professional, or any professional, by the way, your clients are what puts bread on the table. And if you're lucky enough to live from your passion, then you should be really thankful to your clients because they're the reason why you're in business, right? So this is not about bashing them, but I want to give you some tips that I wish I should have known when I got started. And I think I will do a video on great clients, how to spot great clients. But for today's episode, I think I need to address the bad clients that we all come across at one point. So, you ready? Let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about words they say. And one of the sentences I often hear is, I could do your work, but I hate when they say that. Because first of all, it communicates the fact that they don't respect you. They think that creating a website is just, you do that in 5 minutes. And if you look at many videos on YouTube and other platforms, it seems like you can build your website in 5 minutes. I created a funny video and I was talking about how a client was expecting his website to be created in 8 seconds for the price of a Starbucks coffee. And anyone that's been involved in creating professional websites knows that it takes way more time than 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even 1 hour. Sure, I can drop a theme from Theme Forest and just copy and paste some text, put the logo, don't care about the images, don't care about GDPR, don't care about nothing. And yeah, in 1 hour I can be online. And even that, honestly, I don't really believe it. I've created some quick stuff, but if you really want everything to look nice, responsively, you really want to take care of the images and something that we often never talk about because we only talk about the technical side. But honestly, if you want a website that converts, that's another beast, but that's for another podcast. So like I was saying, first of all, it communicates the fact that they will never appreciate your work because they think they can do it, even if they never built a website in their life. But, they see adverts that say it's pretty easy to create a website with 3 clicks. So they think, yeah, you can do it in, maybe in 1 day or something. And they would not value you because they think that you're just a commodity. They could pick anyone. And that's the trouble. That's the first trouble. Also, it communicates the value they give to you. So not only to your work, but to you. Because they just see you as someone that's going to make something so easy that it's just because they don't have the time. They don't want to spend 5 minutes doing it. So, like I said, first of all, it gives a low value to your work, but also to you, the way they're going to see you. Then sometimes they say, you have to give me a low price because, well, I literally had a potential customer tell me that. So I met him and we talked about his business, and he was into, I won't say the name of the company, but let's say he was into something very luxurious. So he was making some money, or was supposed to make some money. So I gave him my fees. I gave him an estimate, the same estimate I would do for pretty much anyone. And he looked at me and he said, whoa. My business partners, they don't mess with the financial part. So you need to give me a low price. I remained silent. I let him reflect on what he had just said. Now, try to imagine that you go to the gas station, and okay, granted, most gas stations you just pay with your credit card or your bank card. There's almost no humans anymore. But in some countries, like where I live, you still get people at a gas station, and you pay them, and some of them even put the gas in your tank. So just imagine that you tell that employee, whoa, before we get started, you need to give me a low price for the gas because my wife, she ain't messing with money, right? He would look at you like, where is he from? And either he would call 911 on you, or he would just ignore you, you know, in the best case scenario. So this is how I felt. To me, this is not really something you should say to a professional. You should give me a low price because my business partners don't mess with money. Well, I don't mess with money either. I mean, that's the value of my work, but I remain polite. But this is something that's definitely a red flag. And if you hear that, it should tell you something. Next, they often say it's an opportunity for you. So basically what they're trying to communicate is that, okay, you're going to be on my website. I'm going to put your name on my website, and I'm going to tell people that you made the website. So this is an opportunity for you, right? So either the website should be free or really cheap, because I'm giving you the opportunity of your lifetime. Now, if you're Michael Jordan, okay, definitely I would work for free. Michael Jordan calls me, and maybe I would negotiate, but come on, let's stop kidding here. If Michael Jordan calls you to create his website, I mean, you're going to make so much connections. You're going to have the experience of a lifetime, or supposed to, because you never know how people are really, but it would be a fantastic opportunity, and that would make sense. And even then, you could argue that you're not going to do it for free, but you're going to heavily discount it because it's really an opportunity. But if your business is John Doe's business, nobody knows you, and you come to a professional, a creative professional, and tell that professional it's an opportunity for you. No, it's not. It's not an opportunity for a creative web professional if no one knows you. That's the market, offer and demand. So trying to enter into a relationship like that, trying to negotiate, I have no problem with negotiating. That's part of the deal. And I quite enjoy that. But what I'm saying here is they're trying to play some mind games. And personally, I don't appreciate that. And that's really a red flag. When I hear that, I would first go and check, okay, maybe they have an audience, maybe it's really an opportunity. But if it's not, to me, it's really a red flag. 2, behavior. So how can you spot them with their behavior? Well, first of all, they have issues with everyone. So I remember that client, actually it was a couple of business partners, and I knew them before we were in business. So they became kind of, we went from just meeting them to acquaintance to becoming friends. And it was great up to then. And then at one point they wanted me to come in because they had a promising business, but something was not working. They had been working with so many people and something was not working. But because I liked them, and because I thought, okay, it's the deal is good, so why not? I was excited to work on their project. I was ready to go the extra mile, and I had a lot of ideas, but there was a lot of work because they had a team. Well, it was variable, but the team was between 5 and 10 people. So when I got started, something was off. One of the business partners, so it was a woman and a man. So outside the business, they were great people, but within the business, there was an imbalance between the woman and her partner. He was right; he was treating people right, but she was really being mean. I noticed that every time someone was leaving the room, she would proceed on saying something nasty about them. So I thought, okay, maybe, and probably when I'm leaving the room, she's doing the same thing. But she was being nice to me. But at one point, something something was really bad. So we had that person in the team that had his son had autism, and one day she told him that his son had autism because of him. Can you imagine that? I felt so bad for it. This guy, I wasn't there, but this was reporting to me. I felt so bad because this guy is so great. He and his family and his kid, they're so great. So, I couldn't believe it when I heard it. But okay, I don't even want to comment on that because I'm going to go too far. But I could see she had problems with everyone, even the nicest people. But he went further than that. So she couldn't even go into the bank. The bank wouldn't allow her. At the end, they wouldn't allow her to get into the bank. They would call security on her. I remember once I went to a dinner with them, and I knew the owner of the restaurant. And when they were gone, they asked me, "Do you know that woman?" I said, "Yes, she's a client." They said, "Well, we appreciate you, but if she could never come back, we would appreciate that." Can you imagine that? So I always try to investigate, just let them talk, because usually they will tell you all the issues they have with people. And actually, if I rewind in my memory, she used to tell me all the problems she had with other people, but I wasn't listening. So be different. Don't make the mistake that I did, and listen. Next, they don't respect your time and your space. So if you see someone that's asking you a question by email, and then 1 hour later they will send you a text message, then Viber, then WhatsApp, then Messenger. I even had someone that came to my house because they found where I live, and that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. To me, that's really a big nasty red flag. So you should pay attention to that. But sometimes it's not so dramatic. It's just you're going to tell people, okay, I don't do business over Messenger or WhatsApp or Viber or whatever network you want to keep private. And they know that, but they will still proceed on trying to contact you there. It just shows that they don't respect your private space. Also, I don't work on weekends. Well, I'm trying not to. Sometimes I have to for myself, for my projects, but I tell my clients I don't work on weekends. Now, it's a choice. I'm not saying it's bad to work on weekend or it's good to work on weekend. I just have to find a balance, for my loved ones also. And just for me, for my sanity, and sometimes I need to do something different. So just imagine that your client knows that, but you proceed on really trying to reach you on the weekend and get you to work on the weekend. It shows that they don't respect your time. Now, sometimes it can happen that there's a really close deadline, something really important, and then if you want to, of course, you can work on the weekends. For some clients, if they tell me, listen, I really need this to be ready, they're good clients, someone I have a good relationship with, then of course I could make an exception, but that would be an exception. So always make sure that people respect your boundaries. Next, tiny power equals monsters. Have you ever seen that some people, they're really nice in, regular life, daily life, but as soon as you give them a little bit of power, they turn into monsters. And that's precisely what happened with the example I gave earlier. Have you ever met those people that are really nice people? They can be your friends, they can be your father, your mother, your brother. They're really nice people, but as soon as they hop onto a car and they start driving, they turn into crazy monsters. And I'm sure you met some of those. They start swearing, they start insulting people while driving, and they have a really nasty behavior because that tiny amount of power makes them feel that the road is theirs, and everyone should do what they want them to do. Also, some people, they start in a really standard job, and then as soon as they get a promotion, you can see how they change their behavior. And I've had friends do that. And I think I could have become like that also. But luckily for me, when I saw them and I realized, man, what's going on? I realized that this could happen to anyone. So if you see that in a potential customer, you see how they treat their employees and the people under them when they have a hierarchical relationship, this should really ring a bell. So look at how they treat other people and you know how they treat you in the end. 3, relationship to money. So you can spot them by reinvestigating their relationship to money. So first of all, they're cheap or the opposite. So what am I saying here? Well, I've had both cases in many instances. So I remember I created the cheapest ever website I ever created for someone. And this customer, basically I was offering him a really cheap price. I was trying to build my portfolio. I could feel at the beginning that it was not right to work with him, but I needed the money. So I offered him that discount, but I was smart enough to put conditions in the contract. And I remember one day, because something you have to know if you don't know about this business is that usually the cheapest clients are those ones who are going to ask the most out of you. And they can turn into a real nightmare. And that's what happened with this client. And because the price was so cheap, he wasn't valuing me. He thought, who's this guy? And I remember one time on the phone, he started really disrespecting me. So I told him, listen, you remember what we signed in the contract? Well, all the discounts that I gave you is now gone. So if you want me to finish the contract, that will be the initial price that we agreed upon. Or you change your behavior and we stay on track. Well, trust me, he changed his behavior. And to cut a long story short, I met him like 2 or 3 years after all of that. Well, I don't remember, but I think it was, 4 years. And I could see that he had respect for me. I had respect for him also. I was assertive at that time, but I never, I wasn't insulting him. I didn't have a bad behavior, but I stood firm. I stood my ground. It started bad and it ended up well, but because I stood my ground. Now, on the other hand, you have people that have a lot of money, and most of them, you will never have an issue with them because they know the value of work and money. But sometimes you land on new rich people or people that are not new to wealth, but they have that bad behavior. They think that because they have money, they can really treat you like you're nothing. And that's the other end of the spectrum, but it's the same behavior, really. So you need to stand your ground, be firm, and sometimes you need to fire a client. Sometimes you have to do it. I don't like doing that, but sometimes it's better for your sanity. Next, they're in for a quick buck. So what do I mean by that? Well, I've had potential clients, I could see that they were like trying to scam people. And most of them, they would never tell you that outright, unless, of course, they feel that you're okay with that. But you will understand at one point that, they're really trying to sell something that's really bad. So now you have to decide, do you need the money? And are you okay with that? Personally, I don't. I think it's not worth it to actually risk your reputation and participate into scamming people. Come on. But okay, I'm not going to judge anyone who's doing that. I'm just saying I don't want to do it. And if you spot people like that, they're going to bring you trouble. So honestly, to me, that's a big red flag. And when I meet people like that, I already know I'm not going to work with them. I will let them finish. I will let them talk. I'll be polite, but I know I'm not going to work with them. And I advise you to do the same. Next, payment plans. So what? So one of the ways to spot bad web design clients is to see how they react to your payment plan. I'm not talking about missing a payment. That can happen to anyone. People can be in trouble. They can be really jammed with work, or sometimes they can honestly think that they made the payment and they forgot to do it. Many reasons, and you should be in a trust relationship. So you should understand that it can happen sometimes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who will look you in the eye They will sign the papers, sign your estimate, your invoice, but in their eyes, you can see that they have no intention of paying you. And one way to spot them really before you start putting in a lot of work is to put micro payments within the payment plan just to see if they respect their word. That's one technique that you could do. Because if they don't do it, whether it's for $5 or for $500, it means that they don't respect their word. And once again, I'm not talking about issues that people can have. I'm talking about their intention is not paying you. So you should definitely pay attention to that because it will save you a lot of trouble along the way. I've had people make me work, and I worked hours and they never paid me. So that leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And finally, tips for your sanity. So the first tip is that if you have to work with bad clients because maybe you need the money and there's no way you can just skip these kind of projects, at least at the beginning or for a short time, do it, but be prepared. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes, like I said, you need to pay the rent, you need to put food on the table. There's a bad client there, he's ready to pay, ready to sign. And you know that it's not going to be an easy journey, but sometimes you need to do it. So be prepared. Know that there's going to be trouble along the way, or maybe it's going to go smooth. That would be good. But whatever you do, you should prepare yourself for a bumpy road. That way, when stuff happen and thing goes sideways, at least you're prepared. And you know that it's just for a time, so you will keep your vision on the end goal, and you will move on. But if you're not prepared, that's going to be so hard. Headaches. Sometimes you can lose your sleep over it. I mean, this is tough. And people who never work with nightmare clients, they don't know. And I hope they never find out. So the next tip is establish boundaries and do that fast. I talked about it earlier on. Let's say that you don't want to work on the weekends. You should let your clients know, okay, I don't work on weekends. So if you're trying to reach me, you won't be able to. Now you could put in emergency procedures, saying if there's an emergency, this is what you should do. And then we can do something about it. But the thing is, some people, they don't care that you said it's an emergency. They will contact you no matter what. Now, if you're a doctor or you work in a field that's really crucial when there's an emergency, that's a different story. But here we're talking about web design. What could happen? I mean, if something happens to their website and they have no maintenance plan, well, they should have a maintenance plan. So it really depends. It's a case by case. Like I said, the clients I have a really good relationship with, if they call me on the weekend because they have a real deep trouble and there's no maintenance plan, then I could make exceptions, of course. You know, I'm human, and I want a good business relationship with them. But if you don't establish boundaries, then you're not going to have a life. So if you're pursuing this career, is probably because you love it and you want to make a living out of it. You don't want it to be a living hell. And finally, follow your gut. Just do it. Like I said earlier on in this video, sometimes I knew in my gut, in my instinct told me, don't work with those people. But I did it all the same. I thought, yeah, I need the money. But looking back, sometimes you actually lose some money. But not only money, you lose part of your sleep. For some people, they lose their health. I mean, this is really important. You only have one life. Now, if you need the money, like I said, sometimes you have to do it. But if this is not some money you absolutely need to put bread on your table, honestly, move on to something else. Put your energy in finding good clients. Choose your battles. Question of the day. What's the worst bad client story that you could share with us? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you want a great branding for yourself or maybe for your best clients, I've created a brand identity guidelines that you can download for free on my website. It was made initially for Affinity Designer, which I've already talked about on this channel, but you can also use it with Adobe Illustrator with a workaround. All you have to do for that is go to ksenior.com/branding. So I hope that you now have a better idea on how to spot bad web design clients, and if you did, please like this video as it really helps growing this channel. Now, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and please smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. So that's it for this episode. I hope to see you in the next one, and in the meantime, don't forget to invest
in your success.